After the sudden death of their father, a pair of siblings go to live in a new home, but their foster mother has nefarious intentions. This one comes from the creative team behind Talk to Me, and it does not pull any punches. So join us as we discuss Bring Her Back. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Oi, good day.
We happen to be watching a movie set in Australia, so Tim's went full crocodile hunter on us.
Crikey.
Yes. Crikey, yes, I can't do an Australian accent. I can't. Crikey, I can't do it. No. That's the last I'll try.
Just do an impression of your favorite Bluey character.
I don't know what that is, Tim. What is Bluey? Explain it to me.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, someone without kids.
Is it a movie? Is it a cartoon?
It's a TV show.
It's
an Australian TV show about some adorable dog people.
So it's animated, I assume, then?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know. This is a horror movie podcast, everyone. We get together and talk about horror film. Today, we are looking at one of the bigger movies from the year that we didn't get to when it came out, mainly because we had different release dates, so we couldn't sync it up. And that is Bring Her Back, which comes from the directors of Talk to Me from a couple of years ago. So, yeah, this was kind of high on the radar this year. Yes, Tim? Yes.
Are all their movies going to be so demanding? So I was like, talk to me, bring her back. Like, okay, can I just go see a movie? Can you stop giving me orders?
I don't know if that was an intentional choice. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they think if it's a call to action, it gets the audience engaged because they're asking something of you. No? Maybe? Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, we will start spoiler free, of course, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get into the spoilers. And of course, if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, please do hit the like button. It helps us out a bunch. And you can support the show over at Patreon or via YouTube membership and get bonus episodes, even more segments where we talk about different stuff and all the rest of it. Won't be another week or two, but we will have like a big even more streams on Patreon where we talk about all the other random horror movies we watched during October. Which actually, on that subject, Tim, are you a little depressed that October's come to an end?
It's always bittersweet. Like, on the one hand, there's a bit of a relief where it's like, okay, I can just finally relax and do like stupid shit that doesn't matter anymore. Because like, as a horror fan, I always do kind of feel like an obligation for like every day be like, well, I gotta do something horror related. I gotta watch a horror movie or play a horror game or blah blah blah. And it is nice to be like, oh, now I can just I don't know, watch something dumb or whatever. So
wait, hold on. Are you suggesting you didn't watch anything dumb throughout October?
Oh no, only the most sophisticated fare that is available on Tubi.
Yeah, so do you know what? I was about to make the same joke. I was about to say only the most sophisticated that Tubi has to offer. Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, wait some of the stuff I have to tell you I watched. Jesus. But I mean, no, I mean, obviously I get like, I always do feel sad because it's always like, oh, especially on Halloween, it's like, oh, I love that it's Halloween, but it is like the last day that all the, I mean, obviously we'll still be carrying the horror torch like all year long.
Always.
But, but then, you start getting like weird looks or something when you walk down the street with, your full on skeleton outfit or whatever. Like, be like, why don't you dress up like a turkey or something? Like it's November now.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of like a really busy period for like, editing all the extra episodes and all that. So it's kind of actually a relief to get to November and just be like, oh, I can go back to my regular pace again for a little while. It's kind of nice. I can maybe think about other projects that aren't just, triple Scream episodes and, whatever else is going on. So, yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about Bring Her Back. So we will get into it now. The premise of this movie, I'm not sure what to say actually for the spoiler-free premise. I mean, the trailer was very clear. It was about kind of like foster kids going to live with Sally Hawkins, who plays Laura, and clearly there was some shenanigans going on. I'll just put it that way. And the title obviously implies a couple of things, but I wouldn't say that it feels like it overly explains what the premise of the movie is. It kind of keeps it intentionally a little bit on the vague side. So I don't want to really go into it too much until we get to spoilers, but that's the basic gist of it, and we'll fire in. So and Talk to Me was a movie that definitely stood out in a weaker year for horror movies, and it was definitely very well directed. That was the thing I remember the most about it. But I definitely remember thinking this is good, but it's maybe like feeling better than it actually is a little bit, because all that year was pretty rough. And I remember thinking the ending arguably is kind of the weakest part, because it was the least kind of like intense. So it went kind of a little bit more sweet with the ending. Don't worry, folks, they did not do that this time. They went for the jugular with this entire movie, so we'll get into all that stuff. But Tim, what did you think of Bring Her Back?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I do think, like, on a technical level, I think it's a pretty well-made movie. Like you were saying, Talk to Me was something that I enjoyed, and I thought there was a good direction there, and it was definitely something that was like, all right, well, I'm interested to see what these people can do next. And like, this is a movie that it looks good, and it's a smaller cast, but I think everyone in it is doing a pretty good job, and there's definitely some pretty gnarly, gruesome bits. Like, there's definitely I think the biggest thing I've seen people talking about this movie is like one scene in particular that I've heard a lot of people go like, oh, like, yeah, that one is like kind of hard to watch, which I agree with. But yeah, I don't know if I can really say I enjoyed it that much. Like, to me, okay. And I mean, I guess maybe I don't know if I just, this stuff maybe is a bit harder for me as I'm getting older or something, but like you're kind of referencing, this is just so bleak. Like, it's just like, I mean, from like right away, like the start of the movie, it's like dealing with a lot of like traumatic stuff, and it doesn't ever really let up, which, I mean, I can't really fault them. Like, obviously they're, that's what the movie's intention is. Like, it's not trying to be a happy, fun time thing. And, and not every movie has to be fun or silly. But I was kind of trying to think of like, why I enjoyed like, Talk to Me probably a bit more than this. And then obviously that's not like, a super cheery movie either. Like, there's some, pretty bad stuff that happens in that. But I was trying to think of like, oh, what's the difference between that and this movie? And I think there's something there where it's like, with Talk to Me, there's a very easy reason to point to like why all the bad stuff is happening, because it's like, oh, okay, well, there was this kind of like cursed object that you were playing around with, and it had specific rules, and you break the rules, and obviously that, I don't think the characters deserve what happens to them, but at least it's kind of clear to be like, okay, well, you're messing around with this thing, and this is what happens. Like, with this movie, it's just like, oh, these characters really don't deserve this. It just feels like life is just constantly dumping on them. And I don't know, like, I'm not saying that like I hate the movie or that I think it's like horrible, but to me it's just like kind of a bummer and kind of depressing to watch.
So I like this more than Talk to Me, Tim. And what's funny is that some of what you just said there's why I like it more than Talk to Me. Okay. Right? Because I don't think you need an explanation to why things happening. I was kind of confused by you were saying that. You were saying that because there's not. Well, I can't say there's nothing supernatural in this, but like this movie has like a reason why things are happening, but it's not the main character's fault, right? The main characters are innocent. So, but what you were really getting at there is this idea of like they do not deserve anything that is happening to them, and you're right, they don't. And that's what makes this really intense to me, and really like it is sad, it is tragic, and it's like kind of like miserable in a lot of ways because it's like. But I think what this movie has, and I don't want to spoil anything here, but this movie has a villain. This movie has a villain that actually was like not scary per se, but is like like feels super evil and feels like what they're doing is making you cringe and be scared about what they're going to do next. And when we get into some of that other later stuff, and there is some more gruesome stuff, whenever this movie is violent, and it's not often, but when it does get violent, it's very hard hitting, it's very visceral, and shows you something very kind of extreme. I think I did care about the two main characters a lot. I think I was really rooting for them at a certain point, so I was super invested in what was happening. And I think that there is some bold choices made with where it goes near the end, which I think is going to be love it or hate it for a lot of people, and I think that's fair. But even if I don't think you like what it does at the end, I think if you do hate it, it's only because you were so invested before it got there that's why you'll feel strongly about it. So I think it's nailing a lot of what it's trying to do.
Oh, no, I don't deny that at all. Like, it's extremely effective in what it does. It's just, to me, what it's doing is just very unpleasant.
It's not pulling punches. It's dealing with, we were talking about grief constantly here, right? And it's like super, like almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Oppressive. That's the word I was looking for. It's so oppressive just how like heavy it feels at times in the movie. But I was invested in the main characters. I think it's really well directed. I think there's some really great subtle touches in this. Like the two main characters are a step brother and sister, right? So you get the older brother, 17, named Andy, and you've got the younger stepsister, Piper, who is visually impaired, right? She's not completely blind. She sees like sort of blurry lights and shapes kind of thing, but that's pretty much it. And I loved when they first meet their foster parent after, because it's not a spoiler. I said that in the intro their father dies, and that's why they're going to foster. Because otherwise, why would they be going to a foster mother? But there's this great moment where they're coming into the house, and like the camera's like looking around the corner, and the corner of the wall at the end of the hall, that's in focus. And Sally Hawkins is completely out of focus, and I love that it naturally shows what Piper, the little sister, can see. Like, this is how her vision would look. At least that's what's implied anyway. Maybe it's not accurate, but that's the implication, is that this is how she sees the world, is this blurry part. And then it comes into focus and we meet her and all the rest of it. But it was a really pointed little moment where I'm like, oh, that was a good little trick, because you're tying it into how this character sees things. And every time we want to show how she looks at things, all you have to do is put it out of focus, and we get it. We get kind of the idea, like really out of focus, not just a little bit out of focus. But, I think the way they play with that is really cool.
Yeah, and like in that kind of opening scene when they're going back to that house and, they discover, their father's body and stuff, like, it does a good job of, like, focusing on Piper and just showing, like, her hand feeling against the wall, and then kind of like feeling for like certain objects and stuff to like, show how like she gets around by, being familiar with like the space and everything. So, all that stuff is really good, and the actress they got to play her is really good. I'm pretty sure they chose an actual like visually impaired person.
Yeah, which, I looked that up actually, because she I don't know if it, like when they describe her vision in this movie, I don't know if the real actress is quite as bad as what they're saying this character's is, but when the actress is blind in one eye and is not perfect in the other eye, so there's definitely some truth to it. Even maybe it's a little bit better than the character though. But there's truth to like that. So it does feel like a very authentic portrayal from her.
Yeah, no, I agree though that they're both like very likable, and you're definitely rooting for them throughout the movie. And then Sally Hawkins obviously is a very good actress, and she's really just playing like a very twisted I'm trying to think like what the word is, like I guess like kind of like doing that like very like two-faced kind of character where a lot of times like she is trying to be like very like upbeat and like, oh yeah, no, let's do this and go this, and then like she very quickly can like turn or do something that you're like, oh, that's like actually very sinister, and then it obviously gets very worse and worse as the movie goes on.
I just looked up because I was curious, because I was like, I'm pretty sure she's English, but I just double checked she is English, so she's putting on the accent in this, so she's doing a pretty good job, because I definitely was hearing Australian. Now maybe an Australian would say, oh, it's not perfect. They can tell it's not like completely accurate, but it was sounding fine to my ears. So, you know, fair play in that as well. It's just funny because we did that Rilla Jenny Penn a few months ago, which you know, we had John Lithgow doing the New Zealand accent, and then we're watching Sally Hawkins do Australian. Just it's interesting because it's funny because I didn't know this was set in Australia. I wasn't surprised because Talk to Me was, and the directors are Australian, so it's not a shock that it's Australia. But like it's sort of like, it took me a second when the accents kicked in, where I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense because the last one was Australian too.
Yeah, and that's why it took us a while to get to this one, because I remember you saying, like, oh, I don't want to watch a foreign movie.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like me. Never watching foreign movies. Oh, bloody hell. But yes. So, no, I mean, I think it builds really well. I think you really care about the two main characters. I think you really hate the villain as the movie goes on. And you're kind of, and it does things where it's like it sets up quite early on that Piper is fairly vulnerable because of her condition, and her brother looks out for her, and it plays with the tension of like when he's not there or when he's not to be believed or whatever it is as the movie plays out. And I think that stuff is good. And we haven't really mentioned really what the horror element of it is, because ultimately that's mostly very spoilery, but it is very very horror-esque, right? Throughout, like there's no denying that it's not like just a light horror touch. No, it's very horror movie. It's just that more stuff is more related to things that I don't want to spoil too much. But it's yeah. So no, I had I mean, it feels weird to say I had a good time, as if I was having a laugh a minute riot. I'm like, oh, you know, I went through a box of tissues. It was so erotic or whatever. But like, no, it was a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just this movie is just weird to me because I appreciate a lot of the craft and technique in it. I think it's a very well done movie. It's very compelling, and obviously I have like strong feelings about it. But I mean, that's, you know, that's what the movie is aiming to do. But again, I don't know, I just don't like how like depressed and bleak I feel afterwards. But I mean, again, there's something there that it's that effective, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. See, if it makes me feel that, then I'm happy because it made me feel something. The biggest sin that a movie can make is not making me feel anything.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. That's
so.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah. Make me miserable, depress me. Like, go for it.
Yeah, and I guess like maybe it might have been different if I had only seen it the one time, but this is my second time seeing it because I did see it in theaters. So like maybe I was kind of just gearing myself up to be like, all right, let's go. Like I need to watch this depressing movie again. I don't know. I don't know. It's I'm not saying it's a bad movie by any stretch, but it makes me feel bad.
And I warned Tim to I was like, hey, we're definitely doing this movie later in the year because we still haven't done Speak No Evil because Tim said he never wants to watch it again. He's all like, oh, upset me too much, and I have maintained, I've agreed to it, but I was like, Tim, don't go see this if you're not going to accept it, you have to watch it again later because we're definitely reviewing this one.
Yeah. Yeah. With I mean, obviously, I don't want to give any spoilers for, you know, Speak No Evil or anything, but I do have a tough time with which I've heard other people this like, oh, like once you have kids, it's harder to see stuff where kids are in danger or whatever, and I don't feel that way about like every movie. Sometimes I feel like a movie is too realistic. Like I that does kind of, you know, upset me a little bit, but it's usually easier with me with horror movies because, like, you know, if it's something like a ghost is trying to steal a baby, like obviously that's, you know.
I assume it's also a tone thing. It's not like you're watching like,
right,
I don't know, Man on Fire and the bad guys kidnap Dakota Fanning and you're like, oh no, this is too traumatic to watch, as if the action hero's not going to go save her at the end, you know.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, 100%. Like, yeah, if it's just like something real, like more realistic or whatever, and whatnot. So it's I guess a give and take thing. Like, you know, some stuff is more fun than others, but
it's just how affecting the movie is, I suppose, with it and how grim it wants to present it, I suppose. But anyway, we'll get into spoilers for Bring Her Back. You have been warned, everyone. Spoilers commencing right knoweth. So, yeah, I mean, this whole movie then is about Sally Hawkins wanting to bring her daughter back. Now, to be fair, I think the trailer kind of, heavily hinted at that. Like, there was definitely a vibe you got from the trailer that she was doing that, and there was some kind of ritual or cult-like activity she was doing to achieve such a feat. I think the trailer gave you a hint of that, but like the exact details of it, I think were kept very hush hush, like, go and see the movie kind of thing.
And I mean, I guess the ritual or whatever they need to do to bring her daughter back ends up being like kind of like complicated, or like I never would have guessed like, oh, this is what they need to do. Like there's a pretty lengthy process involved.
I mean, the actual details, sure, but I think the broad idea of like she has to sacrifice someone else to do it is pretty obvious, because it's usually that. It's usually someone else has to die. So you immediately, it's even just vaguely knowing the premise, as soon as these main characters walk into her house, you're like, oh god, she wants to kill Piper to bring her daughter back. Like that's all. And a lot of this movie is her gaslighting the older brother into thinking that he's got problems to try and get rid of him so that she can get the daughter all to herself.
Oh yeah, gaslighting, that was kind of the word I was thinking of earlier. Yeah, she does a lot of that, which she
goes to some extreme lengths to do some, okay, pissing in a jug's not that extreme, I guess, but it feels extra. Okay, it feels like you're going the extra mile. And
now I mean, there's the kind of bigger, more gruesome horror-y scene that I think a lot of people are talking about, which we'll get to later, which I did think that scene was very upsetting. But honestly, the scene that kind of affected me the most was when she was just in Piper's bedroom and she just like punches her right in the face while she's sleeping.
That was pretty just suddenly grim. Yeah, it was like,
yeah, and it's like, and again, it's, I guess it's kind of related to like what we're talking about, where it's like a bit more realistic, where like, oh, that's something like an abusive parent could do or something, versus like, it's not this big over the top horror set piece or something.
And this is part of the blaming she's going to blame this on the brother to make the brother look abusive, and that's part of her whole thing. So it's playing into that, but it's also just like, it's almost like nasty because it is so realistic. It's just a punch. But
exactly.
But she's just lying there asleep and she just goes boom and punches her in the eye, which, especially the fact that it's her eye. I mean, obviously she wants to give her a black eye, but like, because she's visually impaired, it feels like extra like cruel. It feels extra like pointed. Like you try to ruin what little vision she has. I don't know. It feels really nasty.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then just the like using the brother's cologne or whatever was that. So like, yeah, she's gonna have is like that kind of scent of him in the air to, think it was him. Just very like calculating and evil.
Well, that was good build up, because you see her before she goes into the room spraying the deodorant on herself, and I was like, oh, she wants to smell like the brother. She's going to do something, then blame it on him. I didn't know what she was going to do, but it set me up the suspense of like, oh, she's going to do something bad that she's going to blame on him. And just to explain what I was getting at with the pissing in the jug, she's trying to make him think he keeps wetting the bed, so she pisses in. Like the first time we see it, he just wakes up and he's wet, and he's like, oh shit, this is embarrassing, and he goes to wash his clothes. But that next night, we see how it happened, because she does it again, where she just goes into her bathroom, puts a jug down on the floor and pisses into it, so that so it's not just water she's pouring onto him, she's pouring actual piss. Her piss.
Yeah. Now, I hate to skip too far ahead, but I do gotta ask. So obviously you seem, to agree that she's like, this very sadistic villain, and that you're, against her, killing Piper policy. But how do you feel about her Connor kidnapping policy?
I'm not pro Connor kidnapping.
Okay, okay, so you love Connor. Okay.
Oh no, if she wants to kidnap the Connor we know, then she's more than welcome. Like, go for it.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, but he's useless. Yeah, go get him possessed with a demon. It's fine. We'll barely be able to tell the difference, to be honest.
Is this the next comic podcast you're recording? He's just chewing on a block of wood.
Did you ever see Crimes of the Future, the David Cronenberg movie from a couple of years ago?
Is that the one with like the chair made of teeth?
Oh yeah, it is, yeah. But I mean, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because the big thing in that movie is that some people have started to eat plastic, and it's kind of gross when they're eating the plastic. And I was thinking of that a little bit in this when he starts eating the table, and it was just like the teeth gnawing into the wood, and I'm like, oh, this is gross. But it was making me think of that.
Actually, that just sorry, I just started thinking in my head. Are we gonna end up doing Shrouds, or is that gonna be an Ace movie? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know, because it's listed everywhere as sci-fi horror, and every time this happens, I'm like, is it an Ace movie? Is it a Screams movie? I don't know. I mean, it's
good question, yeah.
Because it's to do with like corpses and like a cemetery. It feels more Screams, but at the same time, depending on how they tackle it, it could easily be more of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird.
It's like, it's corpses, but then it's also like these weird like electronic robot coffins or whatever that are viewing them. So it's like,
I don't know. I hate to think that I have to. I almost want to like put in like a sort of potential we might do it this week. I'm going to watch it, and then depending on how I feel after I've watched it, I'll decide what show it goes on.
All right.
Oh dear. I need someone to do some research. Someone go watch the Shrouds and tell me if it's more of a Screams or an Ace episode, please. That would be delightful. Thank you. Anyway, so no, I mean, like, so the gist of what's happening here is that Sally Hawkins' character it turns out later to be a kidnapped child, because one of the big moments later on is that Andy sees the wanted poster, or the missing poster, for this Connor character. We don't know his name's Connor until then, because before that, he's only been called Oliver, I believe, yeah. And he's like this mute kid who's kind of always staring, acting a bit weird. Something seems up with him. It's tough to tell what's going on with him. So that is kind of the setup, and you know, we get like Sally Hawkins watching these tapes. In fact, the very first thing we see in the movie is like some of this ritual that happened in Russia, and she's watching. And this was something they really sort of showed a lot in the trailer, was her putting in VHS tapes and watching this old fuzzy footage of this ritual. She's trying to learn how to do this thing because she wants to bring her daughter back. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm even going to get this entirely all right, but it seems like she puts this demon into someone, right? In this case, Oliver, right? Starves him, and also Oliver can't step outside of this circle that's been made. She's got a big circle around the house. Otherwise, he reverts back to Connor and the demon will leave, and that's the whole thing. But she starves him because the ritual to actually bring her daughter back involves Oliver, possessed by the demon, eating the original person's body, so her daughter's body, Kathy's body, and then the person whose body is going to be taken to be the new vessel for the dead person has to be killed in the same way that the original person died, and then Oliver, or the demon, will transport the soul of the person they've eaten into the person who's just had the same death. And that's like the whole get-up that we're building up to throughout the movie. That's what the game plan is.
It's interesting. Like, I kind of like how convoluted it is, because you think like I feel like other movies would just like keep it simple and be like, oh, you just gotta kill the person and then like, transfer their soul or whatever. But there's like a whole process. Like, all right, first you gotta get like a completely separate kid, put a demon in them, and then make sure that you keep like the original body, because that's gonna need to be eaten. And then it's like there's a lot of stuff going on here. That's
gonna need to be eaten. I love that sentence. It's a good sentence. So that's what she's up to. But obviously she's hiding a lot of this. But I think the convoluted nature of it does make it work that she's constantly rewatching these tapes that are in Russian with subtitles, because she's like trying to like understand it and like learn the next part of the process, because she's getting like anxious and nervous that she won't pull it off, and she's, and
you know what's good about that too is I mean, you said earlier, and we both agree, like, she's like a very sinister, conniving character.
She's
and
evil.
Everything.
Yeah, like, but one of the like the most like horrific things in the movie, to call it that, is just when you can tell she's setting up something with the way she's talking to Andy. Like, she's saying, hey, talk about your dad abusing you, or hey, like, she's trying to get them to open up, and it's always, she's playing something. She's going to use this as ammunition later. Like, every time she does it, it makes me feel a bit sick to your stomach.
Yeah, and one thing I did kind of liked about the performance, so, and especially when it starts to progress towards the end, is like, as evil as she is, she's also like kind of bad at it in a way. Like, you know, once like the, you know, like the, what do you call it? Like, I forget if they have a specific name, but like Child Protective Services or whatever.
Oh, the social worker or whatever her name would be. Yeah.
Like once they're starting to get involved, she's like really quickly starting to like unravel. And yeah, I feel like other movies would like have like something where it's just like, yeah, they're instantly calm and they concoct like this, you know, story real quick and like, you know, are able to convince them like, you know, oh no, everything's fine. And then you get like another kind of like part where, you know, oh, this person doesn't believe the kid or anything. But I kind of like that. Like she's like very sloppy and things are kind of like quickly, you know, starting to come undone for her. And then she's just starting to have to resort to like more extreme stuff.
Yeah, which I think it's a little predictable in the sense that once Andy does go to the social worker and say, please come and check the house, don't phone her and talk to her, come and see what's happening, this kidnapped child is there. Like, I feel like it's predictable that, you know, okay, it's going to look like she's getting away with it, that she's convinced her that nothing's happening, but then at the last second, the woman's going to spot something or see something suspicious, and like Sally Hawkins is going to unravel, and it's going to lead to her doing something violent and dark and, you know, kill her or whatever. But there's a massive shock at the end of this scene. So obviously, like, the actual, like, it's like, again, she's not the most imposing villain from like a physical standpoint. She's Sally Hawkins, right? I think I could take her if she came charging at me. I'm pretty sure, right? I mean, I'm not going to rule her out, but I think I could probably win the fight. But she just drives into the social worker, right? And it's like really brutal, it's really violent, and like Andy gets thrown to the side, he doesn't get quite hit head on. So I was thinking, okay, Andy's going to be left for dead, but he's not dead, and he's going to like, you know, like Piper's going to be alone in you know, jeopardy, but he's going to still be able to make the comeback later and like save her. I think the biggest shocking thing this movie does, and this is, you know, right in the start of Act 3, is that as soon as Sally Hawkins has done this with the car, she gets out the car and holds Andy's face in a puddle until he dies. And he's killed. Like, I did not see that part coming. Like, I saw everything else coming in this, I mean, not the exact way it played out, but I saw kind of the main beats of it. But him dying like this, this early, I was shocked at. I thought the one bit of happiness at the end of the story, assuming they get away, is that, oh, Piper's still going to have her big brother, right? They're still going to be together. The fact that she's also lost him by this point, and she's truly on her own to deal with this crazy woman who's going to try and kill her, is like such a good, like, dark bit of tension. Because like going into that final segment when she brings her back to the house, you're like, oh shit, how is she going to get out of this? She's not even sure that she doesn't even know she's in danger yet, and this woman is like concocting all this stuff to, you know, go and drown her in the pool because that's how her daughter died.
Yeah, and it's kind of shocking too, because I wouldn't really say that Piper was like the main focus. Like, a lot of what we were seeing was from Andy's point of view.
Andy
for
was
most of the movie.
Yeah, I would say Andy was kind of the protagonist up until that point, which also is why his death feels shocking. But it works in this case because Piper has clearly been the other character that's, like, you know, connected to him. So the movie transfers to her at this point, where she's now become the protagonist, and it kind of works because it's a natural passing of a torch, a big brother to a little sister. And I think it does work because, yeah, that vulnerability of, like, she's impaired, she has to feel her way around, and there's a great bit when Sally Hawkins, after she finds like a dead body, she finds her brother's body in the bathroom, and she touches around and she feels the braces, she knows it's him, and she starts demanding answers. Sally Hawkins basically just admits, oh, you're going to be my little girl, like I found an angel, and my daughter's going to be put in you. Like, Piper does fight back and tries to run away. She like throws things at her, she like bangs her into the wall, but when she runs away and she tries to move too quickly, she hits her head because she can't see where she's going. And it's like, oh, like, how is she going to get out of this? How's this going to play out? I thought the tension here and like rooting for her, because it really felt like the stakes were dire. It felt like, oh, how, like, I don't think the movie's going to give me the ultra depressed ending where the villain just wins, but like, we're so close to it that I'm like going to be so relieved when she does get away, even though it'll still be sad. So yeah, I mean, that stuff is really effective, and you know, you do find yourself really rooting for Piper to get away by this point in the movie, especially since, you know, her brother's been there for it. And one of the running themes throughout the movie, the very first time we meet her, because the funny thing is that as much as the brother has been the protagonist and he's the one that we've been mostly seeing the movie through, we actually started with her. the first scene of the movie after the creepy bit with the Russians is her on her own waiting for her brother to come pick her up, and she's like trying to interact with some girls who are being kind of mean and whatever, and she's trying to be friendly with them, and it doesn't go very well. The brother comes up, and there's a little moment where she says, "Hey, do you think they liked me?" And he turns around and looks at them, and they're making fun of her. They're doing like an impression, and he just sort of says, "Yeah, I think they liked you." He lies to her. And it sets up this idea that he does sometimes lie to her to protect her, to make her feel better. And they also set up this idea that they have like a code word where she's like, "No, stop bullshitting me," and like tell me the truth if you're lying. And this theme of like him keeping things, but then also how like dangerous that is, because when Sally Hawkins sees him doing that, the first time they meet her, they see Oliver, and she says, "Hey, like, you know, how is Oliver?" And the brother looks over and says, "Oh, he's smiling at you." And it's actually a really funny moment because the camera snap cuts. Like, she smiles back at him, and the camera snap cuts to Oliver, and he's just got that death stare the entire time. And Sally Hawkins like sees this, and she's like, "Oh, that's a fun idea." And she says, "Yeah, Oliver's got thick curly red hair." And he doesn't. Yeah. And she sort of looks at Andy and just gives him a little wink, like, I can get in this fun. And you can see Andy sort of like questioning, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be setting this precedent because like, I'm doing it just to sort of help her feelings, but this woman just lied to her about something really weird and random that did not need to be a lie."
Yeah, like what he was doing, like, obviously it's a lie, but it feels like more like, you know, a little white lie just to maybe make someone feel a bit more comfortable or whatever. While like, she's just like hers, it feels like it's like making fun of her, where it's like, like we can like, you know, tell her anything we want, you know. But it's like,
yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing. As soon as they walk into that room, as much as she's kind of being nice, there's something a little bit off about the way she's saying things, and you know, like just swearing in front of them and saying, "Oh, my granny should say F this and F that," and like gets them laughing. But it just feels a little bit like, I don't know, you feel a little unhinged immediately.
Oh yeah, like you can tell like she's starting off like way too over the top, and then and like even like one of the first things, you know, she does is she's like, "Oh, like let me show you my dog," and then like she brings her over to this dog, and you know, of course it ends up being like a stuffed like dead dog, and it just feels like, okay, like you're maybe trying to like play a little like too much and be a little too weird. But
also the stuffed dog kind of is a sign that she has trouble letting go, right? One might
absolutely
say.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Obviously the whole like telling the white lies to make her feel better, or like kind of to like protect her and shield her from stuff, that ends up being like a bigger thing, where it turns out that the dad was kind of abusive with him, but he always did it when she wasn't around, and Andy kind of hated their dad, where she is very loving of him. She wants to take his pillow because she wants to still smell her dad. She's very, attached to her stepdad, whereas Andy clearly has a much darker history with him. And when that does kind of come out, it feels like, oh, you've been shielding her from this. And obviously you understand why you would when she's very young and whatever, but it's this idea that at a certain point, like if you're shielding them from too much, then they're not learning, they're not growing, they're not understanding what you're going through either, right? He's not shared like his trauma with his sister, and maybe she's still a bit young, but it does raise some issues over the course of the movie.
Yeah, and she even says herself, like, Sally Hawkins asks her, like, "Oh, why don't you wear glasses?" And she says, like, "Oh, I don't want people like to treat me differently." So like, it's not even like something that she really wants, to like she, like I don't think she wants to be coddled or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't glasses. It was a cane she was asking about.
Okay, all right, sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, same point. Yeah, same exact point. Mm-hmm. It's actually she was here playing a sport later, which I think was called ball goal or goal ball.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But it was basically like I don't mean to sound insensitive, but it was basically blind dodgeball, to describe it in a term, where they were kind of. Because I actually got a good look. I mean, the scene, because the movie's really dark at this point, because we're cutting to stuff that's happening with Sally and the brother, and like the like all the danger that's happening there. But so I actually got a really nice relief and a laugh when it cut back to this game, and she's at this practice for this game, and they do this thing where they kind of like roll the ball and they sort of dive down and like they're trying to hit each other, and she hits like the girl on the other team. and like Piper yells out, "Eat my ball," like bitch or something like that, and it actually made me laugh because it was like, oh, she's getting competitive, and I've never seen this sport before, so it gave me a chuckle because I think to make it even, like they're all wearing like blindfolds, yeah. So these like big black glasses they've got over them, so it was just kind of funny seeing her yell this out and get competitive. I don't know, I was enjoying that.
Yeah. I think you even hear like the coach yell at her in the background, like, Piper, no, come on.
Piper, pipe down.
And then and this is good too, like when Sally comes and picks her up from that, like again, she's like,
the coach has got some questions about the big black eye. Yes, one might notice.
I like, and again, I think if someone was like, you know, like more of a calm, like, you know, twisted, like, you know, very plotting serial killer, like they would have some story or something at the ready, but she is just like so afraid at this point. She's just yelling at her like, not now. Like, like if I was that coach, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm certainly putting a word in with you know, someone.
Yeah, she feels unhinged, but I think it's because she's just killed the social worker and Andy, and she knows that more people will come looking for her eventually. Like,
absolutely.
You know, eventually the police are going to be like, hey, where's our social worker? Where did she go? Oh, she went to this address. Like, she knows she's on a clock. Also, part of the plan seems to be that she has to wait until it's raining heavy. Which is maybe because her daughter died when it was raining as well. I think, obviously, the way that feeds into the brother and stuff and the sister is that the dad died in the shower, so when they find him, the shower's running, and he doesn't pull any punches. You know, he's lying there naked, dead, and the camera doesn't hide anything from you. But it does this thing where, like, Andy specifically is kind of scared to take a shower for the rest of the movie, where he's like using the hose outside to clean himself, because the idea of getting into the shower is kind of traumatic for him. So yeah.
And that's like a good scene too, because he, like, when they discover the dad's body, he's just like kind of frozen against the wall, but like Piper is the one who's like down on the ground, like touching him, and like she's like feeling his face, and then it's kind of gross because, like, you know, I don't know, like, you know, there's like blood and stuff out on the you know, that's kind of gnarly. Yeah,
she tries to resuscitate him basically with mouth to mouth, and like it's kind of hopeless, but she's just trying whatever she can because she's scared and whatnot. But I appreciated that. Actually, one of the other little creepy scenes that Sally Hawkins has is when she takes him to the funeral for the dad, and she insists that Andy go back in and look at him because she noticed that he wasn't looking. And this is a twofold thing. One, she wants to drive a rift between him and his sister because he lied to his sister and said, "Oh, he looks good," when he wasn't even looking at him. And Sally Hawkins comes up and is like, "Oh, you should go in and look at him." And then Piper's like, "Wait, you said he looked good. You were lying to me?" You know, so like there's that part of it, but then the fact that she goes in with them and says, "It's custom, you should kiss him, kiss his body," and like he reluctantly goes down and like pecks him on the forehead, and then she's like, "No, on the lips. It's customary. It's tradition." And like as you're like this evil woman over his shoulder, like making him do like just bizarre stuff. I don't know. It's wild.
That, like, there's some stuff that it's like, okay, I understand you're doing this because it's in service to ultimately get to your plan, but then there's stuff like that where it's like, well, that just feels like kind of messed up.
Yeah, it's just unhinged. She does cut off a little bit of his, like, the corpse's hair, and I wasn't 100% sure what that was for, because I don't know if that came back up specifically later.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah,
but no, I mean, it's probably a good time to switch over and start talking about Oliver, because obviously there's a couple of times where you're scared that he might eat the cat that's running around. But the whole thing is that Piper's taken out by Sally, or by Laura, I should say, not Sally, that's the actress name, but you know what I'm talking about. It's for the day, and she's like, "Hey, just keep Oliver in my room, please." But you know, he hears some noises coming from Oliver, and he sees him in the window when he's outside, and he's like, "Hey, you must be hungry," and the door's locked, so he breaks in with a knife, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you some food, come out." And so again, Andy's being a good guy. He's trying to be mature. He's trying to look out for this kid. He's not doing anything wrong here. But of course, he's holding a big knife as he's cutting like a melon or whatever it is. And you're like, oh God. Maybe it was cantaloupe. However, it doesn't matter. Big fruit.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. And he's cutting the thing. And he's like, "Hey, do you want this?" And he, for some reason, and this is maybe the one mistake he makes, is he doesn't just hold it out with his hand. He holds it out sticking on the end of the knife. And he's like, "No, just take the fruit. Just take the fruit." And Oliver like grabs the knife, and he's like, "Okay, then fine." And he just lets him take it. But when he turns round to get another knife, he turns back, and Oliver is chewing on the knife. Like he's eating the fruit, but he's now chewing on the knife, and you can see like it breaking his teeth apart, and it's really gross.
Very visceral, yeah.
And what's so funny is this is obviously very, very nasty and off-putting, but like the scene with him eating stuff later is so much worse that this I almost forgot about this by the time we got to like the other scene where he was eating on just about everything, including himself.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously Sally Hawkins like has probably the most like dark and upsetting stuff, but all of the Oliver stuff is like the most visually upsetting. Like
visually
pretty much
gross.
anytime he's anytime he's doing something that's kind of like ooh, like I think the directors do get a good job of like getting under your skin with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it's all filmed really well too. Even when it's not a gross moment, like even when he's standing in the rain later in the movie, but they kind of frame it so he's like really low down in the frame, it just feels kind of creepy. There's a lot of stuff like that going on that really works.
Especially like later on when he just has like that really big extended belly. It just like
that,
looks like
that's
gross.
after he's chomped on Kathy for a bit. He's quite full, so he's pretty full at that point. Yeah, because basically as soon as Andy sees this, he pulls it away from him. And he like says, I need to take you to the hospital. So again, he's being mature. He's going to drive him to the hospital. He grabs him and he's like, I'm going to take you to the hospital. But when they go over the circle, right, the line of the circle, immediately this kid drops to the floor and starts like speaking, saying, help me, or I don't even remember the exact phrase, but he's clearly has reverted to whoever he really is. Because this is before we know for sure that it was this other kid named Connor and all that. But like this is clearly someone else who is normally in this body who is now speaking. But Sally and that come home just at this point, and she like says, what is he doing outside? And she gets really angry, takes him back inside the circle, and yells and says, don't you break into my room, and there's a lot of like shutting Andy out at this point where she's like, Piper, you come in and speak to us, and like, you stay out here, Andy, kind of thing. There's a lot of that going on at this point, making him feel separate, making him feel jealous. She's trying to like ramp up the feelings he had when like she was the favorite for Dad as well, and he would feel sort of angry and jealous about that, and she's trying to stoke those feelings so that when she's making it look like he's wet in the bed, she's making it look like he's getting angry and violent. Because one of the tough scenes in this movie is after she does the whole thing where she goes into her bedroom at night and punches her in the face and gives her the black eye. When Andy comes into the main area that next morning and he's like, what's going on? And she's like, do you have something to say? Show him your eye, Piper. And she turns around, she's got a big black eye, and he's like, oh God, what happened, Piper? And he's obviously showing concern. He cares immensely. And immediately Sally Hawkins is like, no, you did this. You're abusive, just like you attacked your father when you were 8. But they bring it up a couple times, and I get that, yeah, obviously that's not good, but I'm like, how bad was this attack as an 8-year-old? Like, how like in danger was the dad when the 8-year-old, unless he was like trying to stab him in his sleep or something like that, but regardless, this scene is all about Sally Hawkins pissing him off and making him angry, so that he does get angry, and he doesn't hit her, but he does like punch the wall, like he punches his hand right through the wall, and it looks really bad. And like by the end of this scene, this has clearly all been designed to convince Piper that her brother's unstable. And you feel bad for him because you know that this is all her. This is her manipulating everything. This is her setting things up and making it look like him. And she's been planting these seeds. And I'm pretty sure it's implied she's been drugging his his protein powder or whatever it is.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so like everything's been about like setting him off and making him feel more and more angry, tense, whatever. And then using what's happened in his past to kind of say, he's been lying to you about more things. You don't know what your brother actually is, and all the rest of it. Yeah, and that's obviously after that is when he gets taken back to the police station, and then he begs the social services lady to like listen to him and whatnot.
And I don't think we've excuse me, knew it then, but like he's like berating the social worker, like how could you bring us to this lady? Like, did you do a background check? How do you know? And then they're like, oh, like trust me, we know she's good because like we worked with her for like 20 years or whatever. So I think that's the first time that you find out that like, oh, like, they're, I mean, I don't know if I thought like, oh, they're all in it on together or something, but it's like, oh, okay, like she might not believe him fully because of, that past relationship they have or whatever.
Yeah, at the very least, it sounds like she's had like kind of an easy process of like they just kind of trust her because you were in the system, you were working with us for years, so we're just going to assume you're good. Exactly. And clearly that's and to be fair, the woman, the social services worker, as soon as he says, "Hey, you have to go check this," right? She's like, "You know what? You're right. You've made this complaint. You've said this is happening. I have to go look." And that leads to her going out to the house. So she does follow protocol. I don't think you ever like get mad at this woman. I think she does her job well enough. Yeah. She's never like disregarding what he's saying. I mean, it sounds crazy at first, so she does kind of say, "Really, I know this woman. You're saying she's kidnapped someone. I'm finding that hard to believe." But when he says, "No, I'm making a formal complaint here. I'm accusing her of this," she has to take it seriously. Goes out and does so. One of the scenes I want to mention before we get to just anything else to do with the ending and everything is one of the lower key creepy things where I'm like, Piper, I really wish she was spotting the red flags, is when Sally Hawkins is giving her the jumper that her daughter wore and ties her hair back the same way. It says, "Oh, this is just how she wore her hair. You can call me Mum, by the way, if you like." And I'm like, "You've known her for 4 days. She's not there yet. She's not there." Yeah. And I think she's a bit old to be calling someone new mom. I feel like when a kid's young enough, obviously they might call a step parent or an adopted parent or whatever it may be, mom or dad. But I think if you had your parent until you were 12 or 13, say, and then your mother remarries, your dad remarries or whatever, I don't think it's that. I would highly not expect them to ever start calling that new person mum or dad. I would say no, they'll always be maybe nice to them, but never to switch to mum or dad necessarily.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I have a stepmom and a mother-in-law and everything, and I love them dearly, but it just feels weird to call them mom or something.
Well, like I said, I think it's an age thing. I think if it happens young enough, I think you probably would switch to it because you kind of need that figure in your life. So if you're 5, I think you probably would start saying mom because you just want that presence in your life. But if you're already and you're hitting almost teenage years, I don't think you're. I think you still have a good relationship with them, but you're never going to start calling them mom or dad. It's just what it is.
But, I mean, she's able to use it to her advantage later on, though.
Yeah. I don't, or maybe you just, if they insist that you do it, you just say it creepily to make them stop. Just I've been watching videos on the internet. Step mummy. Just, weird them out. Anyway, so we have to talk about Oliver's great chomping. Which is whilst all this is playing, because whilst the social services worker's coming to the house, Sally Hawkins hears the voicemail that Andy leaves for his sister, and because the phone's at the house, and that's what makes her have to clean up the house quickly so before they get back. And the reason why the house is messy is that when she gets back to the house from before, there's a whole sequence where Oliver got out and starts eating all the food in the place, and there's a mess everywhere. But then he starts chomping on the table. He chomps on her arm at one point so Sally Hawkins is bleeding because she's found him like this. And then he starts just ripping the skin off of his own arm and chewing on it. And it's
pretty gnarly.
Very nasty. Yeah, it's very, very tough and gory.
And I'm wondering, does a ritual, I'm wondering if there's a timeline or something for it. Does the demon get hungrier as it goes on? Because, for most of the start of the movie, he's just kind of catatonic. He's not really doing much. And then, it's kind of from this point on, it's he can't stop eating.
I'd assume so. I'd assume it's sort of a build-up thing where he's getting hungrier. Yeah. And, or at the very least, she just wants him hungry so that he'll eat what he's supposed to eat. But if it's a demon, then why? I'm sure the demon's not fussy. I'm sure the demon likes eating people.
Tables. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tables, ladders, chairs, everything. So yeah, visually it's the most nasty of the scenes. But like I said, every time this movie does something violent or gory, it does feel very kind of striking. The punch in the eye, him eating stuff, the car hit, every time it does something, even though it's not a slasher movie or anything like that, but every time it does something, it always feels that was visceral and it was very nasty, and it always looks good, in the context, it looks bad, but in a realistic way, kind of thing. So, good stuff on that front. So yeah, I mean the tension at the end when Piper's on her own and like you think, I mean, is Sally just going to win? Is she going to drown her and get away with this? Is she going to like have her daughter back? And effectively, there's a moment where there's a few things going through my head. One was that because she drowned at Andy in the water, was this going to backfire into Andy being the one who comes back somehow?
Interesting.
I also was thinking because at one point Oliver uses Andy's voice to lure Piper somewhere. I was thinking, wait, is like Andy kind of in Oliver now, or is there something else going on? It didn't end up being that. It kind of just came down to when she's drowning Piper in the pool, and Oliver's like standing at the side looking all demonic and whatever. Piper like is struggling, but ultimately says "mummy" at one point. And this makes Sally Hawkins freeze up, thinking that her daughter's back. And Piper's able to get away. She kicks her away or whatever, and she gets out of the pool and she runs for it. And we get this kind of sort of thrilling sequence of her, like, running without being able to really see very well, falling down a hill and getting to a road where she's able to kind of like, a car slows down and like people get out to help her because she looks very distressed.
Yeah, and it just like adds this kind of nice atmosphere to it that like while this is happening, there's just this torrential downpour. Yeah, that's going on.
Almost every shot when they're outside in the rain in the back, like 20 minutes of the movie looks great. Like all of it looks good. When Andy's sneaking around, when he's trying to like find proof for the social work, because he finds the body of the daughter, and that's he comes running in saying, "Hey, we have to go and like report this and all that." All that stuff looks really good, and the movie ends with Sally Hawkins getting her daughter's corpse and just like sort of like hugging it in the pool, and she sort of opens up her wound in her arm. I think implying that she's just going to like let herself die with her daughter. So the final shot of the movie is like the police arriving, and they find Oliver / Connor, who's like stepped over the line, so he's back to being Connor. He looks pretty rough, but he is saying his real name again, so there's hope for him, And that's the thing, like this movie, like it's dealing obviously with the death of a child, which is already pretty dark, but it's also dealing with abuse, and the fact that maybe one of the real tragedies of this movie is that by all accounts, Laura, Sally Hawkins' character, sounds like she was a good person who was a good counselor. She obviously loved her daughter, but she is turned into an absolute monster who's willing to kill other children to get her daughter back. And that's pretty rough stuff. So super, like I say, it's not pulling punches, it's going for the jugular, and it's like, I think killing Andy the way they did and then leaving Piper to have to deal with it on her own was such a bold move, but I think it's one that pays off because you really feel like she's in desperate like straits in that last chunk of the movie. And it's nice when she does obviously finally get away, but she does get to hear that message. She gets her phone and she's listening to the message that Andy left, where he admits that he lied about the dad being abusive and that he wasn't that nice a guy, and and he even says, "Hey, Laura's the same. Like she's lying. She's doing it behind your back, so that you'll never know that she's being what she is, and that's something that's happening again." So there is kind of this idea of him recognizing the signs of abuse because he's went through it already before, which is also tragic, but it's also kind of heartwarming that he's trying to protect his sister from it. So I don't know, there's a lot here that makes you really endeared to these two main characters that made me want to root for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're very easy to follow. They're likable, and then it's like Sally Hawkins like clearly wants to paint Andy as this kind of roid rage muscle bound jock, but no, he really just seems like his like main thing is just like looking after his sister. So it's like, it's actually very sweet. Yeah,
he wants to apply to be a guardian when he turns 18 in 3 months. He's hoping to do that. And it's one of the things where Sally Hawkins like keeps phrasing things in ways that just start to piss you off, because when she's showing the social services lady around before everything comes out, she's like, "Oh, that's his weight. So he does that when he's angry." Like, she's like dropping these little sly comments just to paint a picture of what she wants other people to think about this guy. It's very sinister. Like I say, gaslighting. She's just basically gaslighting her entire way through the movie. She's become a legitimate monster, and I think what's so good about this movie is that she is the villain. There is technically a demonic entity, but the demonic entity is just a plot device. It's just something that she is using. It's, you know, like I love that this movie does have a villain, and that it's like not something where it's just you know, we've watched enough movies about grief where like, oh, the grief turns into a ghost or a demon and comes after the characters, and you know, looking at you, woman in the yard, or whatever. Like, I love that this is a human being who has become a monster because of they couldn't deal with their grief. And because, you know, because often people say that abusive people are abusive because they were abused themselves, and it's this kind of daisy chain of like someone wanting to hurt someone else because it's all they know, or whatever. Not everyone's like that, obviously, but that seems to be the case here, where this person has went through something and they're trying to, and they're even accusing the brother Andy of, you're abusive like your father, you're doing what he did because you're the same as him, and that's not true, and that's really tragic that she's trying to convince everyone of that. So yeah. The human characters are what make this movie work, that and this really strong direction. And then all the convoluted, like, this is what the ritual is just kind of fun and kind of works, and, you know, there's all the videotapes she's watching are kind of creepy, and, you know, they're solid.
Yeah, there's like there's enough actual like horror stuff there that like the obviously the, like you said, the thing that really cements the movie is like the character work, but there's still enough like gnarly, nasty stuff to make it feel like a proper horror movie.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think even if the demon wasn't there, I think I would still call it a horror movie. I think what she's doing, in the same way that Misery's a horror movie, I still think that this would be a horror movie with the way she's treating people. But obviously, you've got the demon and all the gore and violence just to like set it way over the line. No, so I quite liked it. I think it was a bit better than Talk to Me. I think Talk to Me got a little sentimental, I guess, at the end. Even though I liked it still a lot, obviously, it did get a bit sentimental at the end, whereas I think this is a bit more like visceral and hard hitting.
Yeah, I might have to revisit it, because I do remember liking Talk to Me, but I haven't really watched it since we did it on the show, and yeah, I guess I don't remember the ending as much. Like I mean I vaguely remember it, but yeah, I don't know how I'd feel if I revisit that. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to be too harsh on the movie. Like, I think it is very technically well made. It's just, man, it's just such a bummer. Like, yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad at all. It just, man. Also, maybe it depends on like the mood you're in. Like, maybe I was just in like weird moods when I watched it. Where I was like, well, this certainly isn't lifting me out of my funk or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference to this conversation, because when you don't like, say, I don't know, like Cuckoo, for example, and I quite enjoy it, and you're a little, you know, you come in a bit mischievous, and you're like, I'm going to poop all over this. Like, you know, you can't just poop all over this. Like, I think you're aware of the objective quality here. It's just a case of how it's hitting for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way of looking at things where, you know, you can separate stuff like the quality of something and maybe how it makes you feel, and then again, like you said before, like the fact that I'm having a strong reaction to it, you know, shows that it is effective, and I think it's effective at what it wants to do too. Like, obviously I don't think it wants to be a happy, cheery film, which is totally fine. You know, I don't want every movie to be like that. Yeah, it's just weird because it's like there's this kind of imbalance between like a lot of the things in the movie, which I think are very well done, versus like, yeah, just how it makes me feel like coming away from it. So yeah, I don't want to say like I wouldn't recommend it or whatever. You know, I think it's worth checking out, and there's a lot of good stuff to it. But yeah, I mean, maybe don't watch it if you're like depressed or something, or maybe do. Maybe it'll, like, sometimes it, you know, when you're in that mood, sometimes it helps to watch stuff that's like similar to that or something.
I mean, yeah, I think if you're someone who has a history with abuse in some way, you might either hate it or find it therapeutic. I think if you've lost a child, maybe don't watch it, because that's probably going to hit in a hard way.
I mean, it all depends on, like, you know, how you like to intake art, you know, because there's some people that, And I guess I mean, I don't know if I have like a hard and fast rule about certain things. Like for me, it's like usually, on a case to case basis, where like what stuff affects me and what stuff doesn't. Because like I know there are people that are like, oh, like I can't watch anything like if an animal gets hurt or whatever.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, which is understandable. But I love animals, but I mean, I'm okay with watching something as long as I know it's like, fake. Like if it, is one of those, like movies where you find out like, oh no, the animals were actually being abused. Like that's a little hard to watch.
Sure.
But like, like stuff like that doesn't affect me. And then, like I said before, like with kids stuff, like depending on the circumstance, like I can still watch it and be fine. So, I don't know. I guess it's just how you can take stuff in it and process it. But again, kudos for making an effective movie. Like it's like clearly something dark and inspired a lot of feelings and stuff.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I think we'll get to Wren then. To be honest, we can do that. So Tim, what are you giving it?
So I'm still gonna give excuse me. I'm still gonna give it a fairly good score. I think I'm gonna go with a straight 7, which again is for a lot of the technical quality. I think the performances are really good. You find yourself rooting for the characters. It looks really good. It has very effective horror sequences, and a nasty villain. So there's a lot of stuff that is very good about it. I just feel like I can't go like much higher than that just because like again I just watch it and feel sad.
Oh. I think
I'm being like a little like I'm sorry, like I'm not. I don't mean that like after I watch it like I cry and walk around and just like think about life. It's just like I don't know. I just watch it. I'm kind of like, well, that was a lot.
Just crying in the shower over
like,
Bring Her Back.
No, it's when I'm crying in the shower, it's for different reasons. So.
Well, my rating of the movie is probably. I was thinking about it a little bit, but I think I'm going to land on an 8.5. I think it's a great movie. Oh, wow. I think it's very effective. I was really caring about the two main characters and rooting for them. I think they're, the brother is a little flawed. It's not like he's this perfect human being. And it's almost because he's had one incident in his past where he acted out against his dad that's on the record, and because he's a teenager, he won't be listened to, and that makes it frustrating when he's the one that's in the right and he's trying to just look out for his sister. And you've got this great villain in Sally Hawkins who's really, malicious in her gaslighting and all that. I think that stuff's really compelling. I think whenever they do something violent or gory, it is very visceral, and it makes some bold choices towards the end that I was into. And there is a bit of a downer because yes, it's sad that Piper doesn't have her brother at the end, and that's that sucks. But like I think you feel it, and I think because you feel it, I can't be mad at that. So 8.5 for Bring Her Back. There you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. This is we're in November now, of course, and next week we should be looking at another film from earlier this year that we missed when it came out, and that is Dangerous Animals. So we're doing a creature feature next time. I think shark, but I'm not actually 100% sure if it is shark or if it's just another sea creature. But either way, we'll find out next time.
Yeah. I know the basic premise, but I don't want to ruin anything. So.
Oh, fair enough. And this is Jai Courtney, which means it's probably also Australia based.
Oh, crikey!
Because he's Australian, so and there's a lot of dangerous animals in and around Australia, so it seems like it might be more Australia. Are we doing an Australia double feature by accident? I don't know.
I mean, it's always weird because Halloween is very extra horror filled, and then Christmas is we got all the Christmas holiday horror, but then November is just this weird little thing in between that doesn't really have like much of a theme. So I don't know, maybe November will just be like our Australian month from now on.
Well, we've already done
Wolf Down Under.
We've already done Wolf Creek. I suppose we could do Wolf Creek 2 because that eventually happened, but I'm not planning on it.
We can revisit Howling 3, The Marsupials.
Oh God, no, please, no. Wasn't there an Australian horror comedy called Black Sheep that I never saw?
I thought that was New Zealand, but I could be wrong.
It may be New Zealand, but I never saw it, so I'm just vaguely remembering a title here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, Dangerous Animals next week on the show. And of course, you can support Screams After Midnight and help keep the show coming by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV or becoming a YouTube member. Either or will get you access to bonus episodes when we do them. It'll get you access to the Even More Scream segments, which come out most weeks. I think we're starting off a little slower in November just because October was very, very busy and hectic. But we do have the big kind of like, here's what we watched during October one planned for the next week or two. So look forward to that. Yeah, that is the plan. So yeah, thanks to everyone who already supports us. Check out the other movie shows on the channel. The Sci-Fi Podcast is the Atomic Cinema Experiment that I do with David, and I also do Collector's Cut with him, which is where we go through franchises, and we've been doing like Sidney Lumet films from the 60s and 70s recently. So if it was a bit more highbrow, but if that sounds like a fun conversation, well, it's highbrow when we do that. We're doing disaster movies again in the start of the new year, so it can be lowbrow or highbrow depending on the theme of the season. But yeah, go check out stuff. But that is the show, everyone. That has been Screams After Midnight, so thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.